Hey everybody, Rick here. Today we're going to talk about paddles, mixing, and production. Let's get into it. So in a lot of our videos, you've seen us talking about paddles or mixing. It's kind of the same thing. Basically, we want to make sure that we get a good homogeneous starter mixture over the course of your week or however you set up your schedule. And we've played with a few ideas. We were really focusing on this stainless steel paddle design, but that is proving to be a little bit challenging, or a lot challenging actually. And there are a few reasons for that. Number one, we've got this smooth glass crock. It's beautiful. It holds a lot of starter, but it really doesn't provide a lot of friction when you're mixing with an automated system like this. So occasionally, depending on your hydration level, which right now you can adjust your hydration level, especially in the custom modes, you could get into situations where you're just sort of pushing a thick ball of starter around, especially at like a 50% hydration. And over time, it will kind of break down and turn into a nice fluffy starter, but there can be some dry spots. And so we're kind of really focusing in on how do we eliminate those dry spots. And so we've opened the design challenge, I guess, internally back up a little bit, and we're looking at other options. So what we did was we kind of went back to the drawing board, so to speak. We've got a starter that we maintain by hand here at FirstBuild, and we were mixing ingredients, and often we'll use a spatula or a chopstick to mix it. And you realize that this works pretty well, right? What's really nice about it is with your eyes, you can look at the part that's dry and you can fix it. This system is automated, it doesn't do that. It's not that smart yet, although, maybe with a software update in the future, it might become that smart. Just kidding, sort of. But anyway, this kind of led to some inspiration. Well, what if we made a paddle that was actually just a silicone spatula head and an arm that sort of snaps into the same interface as the wire paddle that we've got today. So I put that in, and now what I've got is sort of a squeegee action that's fairly forgiving, and what we're finding is that this can handle really just about any hydration level that we throw at it. It sort of gives when it needs to give, and it is firm when it needs to be firm to mix the starter. And what we end up with is a really nice homogeneous starter regardless of the amount that's in the crock. So this is now, I would say, probably our front runner in the design. We do have options. We've even got others that we've explored as well. So, but this one is kind of taking the lead right now. And we're working with our supplier to help us prototype that like in a more scaled up version than this. We just 3D print and went to the store and bought this paddle. But that's a really good screening test, and we realized this works great. But now we're gonna take it into the next step and really put it through some more paces to make sure that it holds up the way we think it might. One of the things that we love doing at FirstBuild is we prototype things very fast. And so I've got kind of a jar of different prototypes here that you'll find interesting. You know, we're modifying different shape parts. We are playing with the geometry of the paddle arm itself. We even tried two paddles. This was actually pretty cool. We had two spatula paddles that were kind of working in tandem. That was interesting. We tried it horizontally. So we wanted to see if it would mix well if we mounted it this way, right? The beauty of a 3D printer and some CAD skills will go a long way. But we keep coming back to this basic design. So I'll show you kind of what it looks like in action. All right, so I'm gonna do this live with you. Who knows how it's gonna go? Let's jump in. I'm gonna throw a little flour in there. Let's throw 15 grams of flour in. Luckily, you can do this while you're sleeping. You don't have to stand around and watch it dispense flour. But I didn't have to get a scale out. That's pretty nice, actually. All right, now let me add 15 grams of water as well. Notice there's no beep. Isn't that nice? Now, I didn't put seed starter in here, which would actually lubricate the system even more, but we're just gonna go with this to see how it mixes it. So if you kind of come in tight here, let's have a look at how it brings this all together. So I'm gonna mix I'll start with 90 seconds. I may extend it. All right, that's okay. I'm gonna extend this another 90 seconds just because I really wanna mix it up even better than that. Right now we're leaning towards a 3-minute mix on these initial feedings. Again, this is just flour and water. There's no starter in there, which is kind of slimy, I guess, for lack of a better word, and it makes it kind of mix a little easier. But this just shows you kind of how this paddle design is a little forgiving. It sort of moves kneads the dough around. And as this grows, I'll feed it here again in a minute, which is not exactly realistic, but it'll give you an idea of how this can handle sort of what you throw at it. But what it does is it sort of pulls it together and turns it into sort of a dough ball until it starts to loosen up as the starter kind of feeds on it. A little bit on the backside. Let's bring it in here. You notice there's a little bit of flour on the backside of the paddle. We're looking for all of these little anomalies, and we're actually adjusting this angle slightly and reducing the amount of bend kind of on the bottom of the crock so that we can really reduce the amount of dry ingredients that might kind of ride along. But over time, as you're growing this starter, even with that, it gets consumed and mixed into the mixture, and you end up with a big bubbly crock full of active starter. So let's pretend that this had been sitting for, I don't know, 6, 12 hours, something like that. And the starter had kind of spread out. It was actively fermenting, and it's gonna feed again. So I'm gonna drop another feeding in here. This time I'm gonna do a 50% hydration feeding. Let's add, I'm gonna add 10 grams of flour. So let's say I'm going for a stiffer starter here. Typically you have to feed those a little less often, which is kind of nice. All right, and I'm gonna do 5 grams of water. So 10 grams of flour, 5 grams of water is 50% hydration. And I'm gonna mix it. And by the way, I'm going in and just using kind of the manual add and mix features that are built into the menu. In the product that you receive, it will do all this on its own. In auto mode or in by ratio, where you tell it what ratio you want it to feed and how much you're starting with, or by mass, where you tell it exactly how much water and flour for each feeding and how often. It'll do all those modes for you automatically once you set them up. I'm just kind of showing you how we do our testing. So now I'm gonna mix it. Let's see what it does. So you can see it's sort of bringing it all together in sort of a dough ball, and it's rolling it around the perimeter of the crock and picking up kind of dry ingredients. Other than, as I mentioned, what's on the back of that paddle, we're aware of that, we're working on it. But generally, this is how you'd mix it by hand if you were doing this manually. It's kind of like watching paint dry. We do this a lot. So this is just a little glimpse of kind of some of the testing that we're doing. This one's very paddle and mixing specific. But in terms of the broader schedule of the program, there's a lot of things going on. So we're working on finalizing the design for tooling. So fairly soon, I would say in the next month or so, we're gonna kick off our tooling, which is where we make large metal tools that are gonna create plastic parts and various parts in this product. That's a very kind of time-intensive and design-intensive process. We're still refining software, so we've actually, believe it or not, we've got a few bugs in here that we are in the process of fixing, finalizing a couple of features because we are continually improving the product and making it better as we move towards final production. We're gonna do things like safety testing. It's gonna be a UL listed product, so we're gonna do all the safety testing necessary for that. Also, we're gonna do reliability testing. We wanna make sure that the parts that are in the product and the design itself is very reliable. So we wanna understand if there are parts that are gonna, in the current design, that are gonna fail, that we might need to make more robust or improve. And then we're gonna get this out when we get the next round of prototypes. We'll call them prototypes, but they're more like engineering build units. And we're gonna get those out on field test where people are gonna use them in their homes. Our beta testers are gonna use them in their homes. So we're really excited to get to that point because that's when we get even more feedback and have people live with this product and enjoy the benefits of it. So we are marching along, lots of moving pieces, lots of people involved. But I want to give you a little behind the scenes look at some of the stuff we're still doing. All right, we're gonna do a little demo of some of the more extreme options we've put out there. Double paddle. This is fun. We just bought these at a dollar store. We'll see if they work. This is like throwing more power at it, you know? This is like straight from the crock into your oven. It's got a fully ready to go ball of sourdough bread. Okay, and then part of the fun is we're still cooking, running recipes that you guys submit to us. So give us more. We love doing those. And feel free to comment below anything you want to see or any more information or anything you'd want to tell us. We're watching, we're listening. And we'll see you next time.